Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. NATO leaders have gathered for an emergency summit in Brussels in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Attended by 30 members, including US President Joe Biden, they posed for the traditional so-called family photo before meeting. Jens Stoltenberg has said that NATO leaders need to discuss a security reset, with the alliance ready to approve a major increase in forces in Eastern Europe.
We are determined to continue to impose costs on Russia to bring about the end of this brutal war. We pay tribute to the great courage of the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian armed forces fighting for their freedom and their rights. We also recognize those in Russia who are bravely speaking out against the war. We hear their voices, they matter.
Meanwhile, President Zelensky has called for solidarity a month since Russia's invasion began, speaking for the first time in English. Addressing the NATO summit, Zelensky said Ukraine needed fighter jets, tanks, anti-ship weapons and improved air defense to repel Russian troops.
It breaks my heart.
He then made a direct appeal in English for people to support freedom and oppose Russian aggression.
Come to your squares, your streets, make yourselves visible and heard. Say that people matter, freedom matters, peace matters, Ukraine matters, from March 24th, in downtowns of your cities, all as one together who want to stop the war.
The UK government has announced it is sanctioning a further 65 individuals and entities in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This comes on top of the existing sanctions on hundreds of members of the Russian regime, including business owners and oligarchs.
Vladimir Putin is plainly determined to double down on his path of violence and aggression. Absolutely brutal way he's treating the Ukrainian people. We've got to step up. We've got to increase our support, and we've got to tighten the economic vice around Putin, sanctioning more people today as we are, sanctioning the Wagner Group, looking at what we can do to stop Putin using his gold reserves, but also doing more to help the Ukrainians defend themselves.
Ukrainian officials say a Russian landing ship has been destroyed and 2 other boats have been damaged in the occupied Ukrainian port city of Berdansk. The Ukrainian military posted footage early on Thursday and said the Orsk had been hit by its forces. Details of what caused the explosion and fire on board the ship are unclear. Berdansk was seized 4 days after Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia says it had used the port as a base to ferry in equipment for its troops. Pieces of engine wreckage from the passenger plane that crashed in South China's Guangxi province earlier this week have been recovered. In the core area of the accident site, rescuers recovered parts of the engine blade and turbine parts. They also expanded the search area, making all-out efforts to search for possible survivors and retrieve the other black box on the plane. The plane, with 132 people on board, crashed on the afternoon of March 21st in a village in Guangxi's Tenxian County. No survivors have been found so far. 1 black box of the plane has been recovered. South Korea's military says it has conducted a live-fire test of multiple ballistic and tactical missiles immediately after an intercontinental ballistic missile launch by North Korea. The South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff said the test confirmed the military was capable of a precision strike, if needed, against the location of any North Korean missile launch. It comes after Japan said North Korea had tested a banned intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time since 2017. People in Paraguay's capital, Asunción, are asking for help after major flooding. Roads and streets have been deluged with water, damaging cars while people try to pump water out of their properties. Some affected residents are frustrated because they say they haven't received immediate support in the wake of the disaster, which occurred on Tuesday night. And Britain's Prince William has expressed profound sorrow over the appalling atrocity of slavery during a speech in Kingston in Jamaica.
Slavery was abhorrent, and it should never have happened.
On day 2 of his trip to the Caribbean nation with his wife Kate, William addressed an audience hosted by the Governor-General of Jamaica, Patrick Allen, and said the pain of slavery runs deep. The speech made reference to the International Day of Remembrance of the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade, which takes place on Friday. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.